The enemy actually came aboard the train at Belgrade one of two ways.
Helped by Pierre Michel. No. Through the door left unbolted by Monsieur McQueen.
Through the door left unbolted by Monsieur McQueen.
This enemy was disguised, leaving behind a button in Madame Hubbard's room when he used her connecting door. Mademoiselle, the disguise?
That was the attendant's uniform.
A passkey was found in the pocket of this uniform, giving the murderer access to Ratchet's room. Ratchet was under the influence of a dose of his sleeping draught, light enough to wake him, but strong enough to prevent him from struggling as the killer left through the connecting door.
Masterman confirmed the dosage.
Masterman confirmed the dosage of the sleeping draught.
Oui, he did. Well, the murder weapon is obvious. Mademoiselle?
So I think it's obviously the stiletto.
It is a stiletto, the type of knife carried by the criminal type in America called the mafiosi.
The killer planned to leave the train at the next station after committing his crime. Show to them the evidence supporting this, mademoiselle.
Train plan.
That isn't what Monsieur Poirot is looking for.
Gasp. Oh, no, I didn't want to click
No,
that.
that isn't right. Think, Antoinette. You do not want to disappoint Monsieur Poirot yet again.
I didn't mean to click on that one. I wanted to read this. So it's... Oh, I meant the torn letter.
Exact. The avalanche prevented him from
I
reaching
got confused
the
with the train plan.
Even so, he went through with the crime and then hid himself.
I didn't hear what he was thinking because I got distracted. What did you say? The baggage car? Shepherd's hut.
The killer hid in a shepherd's hut on the mountain.
At first, in the Athens-Paris coach. Then later, it is in the hut. Mademoiselle found the uniform and the stiletto. But the killer had fled. He may have escaped down the mountain, or he may have come to his just reward somewhere out there in the snow. I think you will agree that we had followed the trail as easily as if we were tracking the footprints in the snow. Well, it is plausible. It certainly fits the most obvious set of facts. I applaud the mastermind who hides behind such an innocent face. The second solution asked more of the little Gressels. Not only of Poirot, but those of Mademoiselle Marceau and Dr. Constantine as well. It was hidden most carefully. The unlikely accident of a means of communicating with the outside world, a part filled most ably by my dear friend Barnaby, made the truth, or at least part of it, easier to uncover. But I flatter myself that enough clues were found right here on this train that such communications were almost always but collaborations of conclusions that I had already reached. So, mademoiselle, we will begin again. First, I will speak to you of time. When did Monsieur Ratchet meet his end? I suspect Mademoiselle Marceau has the theory.
I want to look at... Is there a way to look at evidence?
I need a moment to decide.
Time is of the essence, mademoiselle. Pray do not take too long.
So I can look at the evidence. Because I don't want to just rely on... Right, the timetable. Right, so the 1:15 matches this. That's quite obvious. And he said that's rather obvious. The only other time we have is 12:37, and that would actually make sense that he thinks something's going on, presses that, so we know it's... Unless we don't trust Greta, I don't see any reason not to. About 12:37, I think. Yeah, shortly before 12:37. It's the only other time we have, unless... 10:40 means we're blaming Greta. Earlier means that Greta's lying, but I think shortly before 12:37.
Shortly before 12:37 a.m. It could not have been Ratchet who called out to Michel in French. He didn't speak French.
Let
Yes,
us
of course.
examine each possibility in turn. 10:40 p.m. or earlier, No. I think not. Mademoiselle Olsen spoke to Ratchet from the doorway at 10:40 p.m., but she never went inside.
Alright,
It
yes.
conjures the image most bizarre of her throwing a knife at him 12 times from the doorway. And how does she retrieve it? Is there string attached to the handle? No. No, that is a solution of a most lurid sort. 12:37 a.m.? A more interesting possibility. Monsieur McQueen states that Ratchet spoke no languages other than English, and yet the voice answered Michel in French. Still, I think this was simply a performance for the benefit of Poirot. One of the little improvisations. I was meant to see through it and say, no. Monsieur Ratchet, he was already dead by 12:37. He could not have cried out.
The broken watch said 1:15.
Oui, it did. And it fits with the time of Madame Hubbard's visitor. Now I digress for the reminiscence. I observed to Mademoiselle Marceau that one meets many classes and nationalities when traveling aboard the Express. I asked her to imagine whether such an assembly would ever likely to be collected under any other conditions. And Mademoiselle, what was your reply?
In America.
In America.
C'est ça. Only in America will you find a household composed of so many nationalities. Look about you. As our investigation progressed, it became clear that 9 passengers on this train are connected in some way to the Armstrong kidnapping. Who have we connected to that case, mademoiselle?
Do I tick them? The Countess,
Countess Andrenyi.
Colonel,
Colonel Arbuthnot.
Mary Debenham,
Mary Debenham.
the Princess,
Princess Dragomirov.
Antonio Foscarelli,
Antonio Foscarelli.
Masterman,
Edward Masterman.
I think Hardman, because he was connected to the case, I think.
Cyrus Hardman.
Mademoiselle, I realize you have many clues to recall, but this one should be obvious.
Oh, have I got that one wrong? Hector's not involved. Oh, Hector is involved, sorry.
Hector McQueen.
He's connected, indirectly. And Greta Olsen.
Greta Olsen.
Hildegard Schmidt, she was the cook.
Hildegard Schmidt.
And... none of the above? Well, the Count, technically.
Count Andrenyi.
Please do not embarrass us both. Choose another.
Oh, I thought that was connected. I have not counted how many I've done. Curses.
None of the above.
Précisément.
There we go.
These 4 alone, amongst the occupants of the Calais coach, would appear to have no direct connection with the Armstrong case. Yet I was struck by the curious coincidence that everyone in the Calais coach had an alibi. And these alibis are sometimes corroborated even by those not connected to the Armstrong affair. One of you stated to Mademoiselle Marceau that while Monsieur Ratchet got what he deserved, you would have preferred to see him properly hanged. The trial by jury is a sound system. Who said that, mademoiselle?
Colonel Arbuthnot, if I remember.
Colonel Arbuthnot.
Just so. Colonel Arbuthnot. Now that struck a chord with Poirot. I sat back and thought, a jury is composed of 12 people. There are 12 passengers in the Calais coach, discounting myself and Mademoiselle Marceau. Ratchet, he was stabbed 12 times. And the reason the Calais coach was filled in the middle of the winter was explained. All, I repeat, all of the passengers were in on it. They had to be. No alibi could be left to the whim of a stranger. Did this solution explain everything? Let us see. What were the clues that pointed to the first solution, mademoiselle?
Oh, great, I've got to think about these. Threatening letters.
The threatening letters.
Mademoiselle, I realize you have many clues to recall, but this one should be obvious.
You just asked what... Oh, right, all of these clues.
All of these clues agree with the first solution.
Wait, and now, of course, my attention focused on Monsieur Hardman, for he, the apparent outsider, had provided a key element in this artificial solution of an unknown enemy. How to explain his complicity? And then I remembered that Mademoiselle Marceau had told to me 2 suggestive moments during 2 different interviews with Monsieur Hardman.
Snow is bright. Key to the security room?
When he gave me the key to the security room in the baggage car.
Can you really think that illustrates my point?
I don't know. The other ones don't seem to. When he apologized. No. When he said the snow was bright. When he apologized.
When he apologized to me.
No, mademoiselle. Try again, please.
Why? Like, I don't understand. When he asked me to find a Kataya tile, how does this fit?
When he asked me to find a Kataya tile.
Mademoiselle, I realize you have many...
When he said the snow was bright, you said 2.
When he said the snow was bright.
Mais oui. The snow has not been very bright today. The sky, it is overcast. And in his apology, he mentions his fondness for French girls. Countess Andrenier told us that the nursemaid, she was French. Her name was Suzanne. Our young friend Barnaby Lewis confirms via the ham radio that her full name was Suzanne Ferrier, and that she was born near Paris. So, it is not so much a leap, I think, to wonder if perhaps the man from New York and the French girl working there might not have formed the attachment.
I've been a detective for almost 20 years, Monsieur Poirot, but I'm in admiration of you. Yeah, Suzanne and I were gonna ask her uncle if we could get hitched. He was her guardian. And the kidnapping and everything. It was too much for her.
Her uncle, monsieur? And his name?
Oh, jeez, I can't say I remember.
A detective for almost 20 years? And you never even knew the name of your fiancé's guardian?
Pierre
Oh,
Michel.
probably got it written down somewhere back in New York.
Enough of this foolishness. I can guess his name right now, and so I expect can Mademoiselle Marceau.
Like, oh, there's this really important part of what he spoke to you. And it wasn't him apologizing, but it was him apologizing. It's Pierre Michel.
Pierre Michel.
No, mademoiselle.
What?
Try again, please.
What? 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 That made perfect sense. Because that explains the picture. Oh, but his family died. None of these make any sense. Marcel Bouche. It's the only one that makes sense.
Marcel Bousse.
Use the little Gressels, Mademoiselle Marceau.
There's no other logic. Like, Monsieur Ferrier. There isn't a Monsieur Ferrier. Lucien makes no sense.
Monsieur Ferrier.
The picture in your valise, it is that of you, your sister, and her daughter Suzanne?
Oui, monsieur. After my sister and her husband died in a car crash, I raised Suzanne as my own child.
And so, that leaves only one.
Me? If your tenant is one of your killers, Mr. Poirot, that makes her 12. You don't need me.
No, madame. I have come to the odd conclusion that the person who has taken no part in the crime is the one who would be considered most likely to do so. I refer to Countess Andrenier. Her husband swore on his honor she did not leave her room last night. A count from a noble family? A rising young star in the Hungarian diplomatic service? Such a man does not swear upon his honor lightly. No, it is much more probable that he tells the truth. And it is the devoted husband who, so to speak, takes his wife's place. So you see, madame, we are back to 11 without you.
Well, I never. Wait until my daughter hears about this.
Why not tell her now? She is sitting there right beside you, Madame Arden. You are the instigator, or the director, I should say, of this entire performance. You, who Mademoiselle Debenham so rightly called the strongest character among us. And there you have it. Does this second solution explain everything? Let us see. Mademoiselle Marceau, what was the real murder weapon?
So I say that Pierre Michel was the person, and he goes, no, it was not Pierre Michel. Oh, well, it must have been, well, okay, the only option sensible is well, I went with Marcel Bouche, because saying Monsieur Ferrier it's a non-answer. So then I say it, and he's like, oh yes, and then he turns to Pierre Michel, and it's like, oh, it was you, like, that's what I said! And I'm gonna guess it's the steak knife, which is why it was thrown overboard. Thrown over the
But
cliff.
of course, a drama planned this carefully does not include the blood-stained stiletto with the fingerprints of some unknown. No, that is merely a prop. As were the 2 threatening letters. The burned note, of course, was a real threat. The conspirators most assuredly did not want this murder tied to the Armstrong kidnapping, and the true weapon, with no incriminating mark upon it, might never have been found if it had been thrown inches further.
Ha.
Bloody steak knives aren't balanced properly for throwing. My hat's off to you, though, Miss Marceau. When I saw where it landed, I wasn't about to crawl out there and end up at the bottom of that ravine. Took some nerve doing what you did. and there's no denying it.
Hear, hear.
So, the improbable differences in the stab wounds is now explained. 2 so-called clues were dropped in the dead man's compartment. Mademoiselle?
So, the pipe cleaner.
The pipe cleaner, incriminating Colonel Arbuthnot, who had one of the strongest alibis and whose connection to the Armstrong family was probably the hardest to prove. And the second clue found in the room, mademoiselle?
That was the handkerchief.
The handkerchief, incriminating Princess Dragomirov, who by virtue of her frail physique and the alibi given by her maid and Michel was practically in an unassailable position. Then there was the clue found at the shepherd's hut with the incriminating fingerprints. Do you have it, mademoiselle?
That's the padlock, isn't it?
With Mateo's incriminating fingerprints on it.
Not precisely cricket, you know, Tonio, to incriminate an innocent man.
Cyrus could swear Matteo had not entered the Calais coach. Michel informed us the radio was in the baggage car, and I went to put it out of commission. I did not want to destroy the equipment. It must have taken him much saving to purchase. So I only smashed the telegraph key. Signorina, you are a miracle worker for sure. To get the radio working again. I know about these things. That was a stroke of a genius.
Stick to the point, Monsieur Foscarelli.
With great pleasure. The padlock was just hanging there. I found the snowshoes earlier, and then the shepherd's hut. I was supposed to find a good place for the uniform and the stiletto, and the hut was perfect. But I had to break the lock to enter. All I did was go and get the padlock on the radio crate. I didn't mean to point the finger at Matteo.
The other red herring was not a herring at all, but it was certainly red. Mademoiselle?
The kimono.
And then to put it in my valise was not a nice trick.
The kimono is mine, monsieur. And mademoiselle, I had no intention of trying to incriminate you. I had to put it someplace, and I thought it would be amusing if you found it there.
Oh, oui, you enjoy your little games, Countess. Mademoiselle Freebody, indeed. Well, Madame Arden?
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. Bravo, Mr. Poirot. Well done.
Applause from an actress of your stature is praise indeed, madame.
We were all at the house, a house filled with almost unendurable pain and sadness. The Perkinson brothers were dead, but Cassetti had got clean away. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Cassetti had escaped would be carried out. Little did we know how many years would pass, how many false leads Mr. Hardman would track down before Cassetti would be found.
Whatever country my work took me to, no matter how tough the case, I always saved plenty of time to try and pick up the trail. But he kept on the move. Brazil, Mexico, most of Europe. Ratchet was only the last of a string of aliases.
Then Mr. Michel wrote to me. It was he who, quite by accident, had recognized Cassetti traveling aboard the Istanbul to Calais train. When we learned the man, now calling himself Ratchet, frequently traveled to the Middle East aboard the train, we knew we could have some control of the scene of our planned execution. It took months, but in time Ratchet hired both Hector and Masterman.
One of us would have been enough.
2 were better.
Hector handled all of Ratchet's travel arrangements. With Michel's help, passage was booked on the same train he would be using to return from his latest excursion to the Orient. The rest you seem to know.
Oui, madame. Indeed, the rest Poirot knows.
But I don't understand. You've uncovered everything. We know we did it. How can there be another solution?
That is the book solution, by the way.
There is among you one who is not who he pretends to be.
Dun dun dun.